What's up, people? It is Khyrie from the All That Podcast, and you're watching The Courtney Hall Show.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to a brand new episode of The Courtney Hall Show. Listen, I have an amazing guest in the building with me. It's Khyrie Neveaux. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, and you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Listen, you're finally here.
I know, it's been
on my show.
Yeah.
Yay!
It's been a little process.
Yes, right. But we're here.
Right.
But we're here.
We are.
Yes. Listen, I want to go ahead and jump right into it.
Okay, let's do it.
You have a podcast called the All That Podcast.
Yes.
Talk to us about it, because it's amazing. You have a new season coming out. It's already out.
Yeah, Tuesday it came out. So yeah. So the podcast thing I kind of got pushed into by mistake. So originally I had this thing called the Khyrie Show.
Okay.
And it was similar to like SNL or the Chappelle Show.
Okay.
And what I tried to do was, figure out ways to, portray important messages through entertainment.
Gotcha.
So, but with that comes, writing scripts, finding people to act for free at that time.
Gotcha.
The production work and the filming and the editing, and it's like very time consuming. So I was like, what can I do in the meantime just to put some content out? And I started thinking about things I do well. And I'm like, okay, I talk pretty good, so let's try podcasting. And that's how it came along. And before, like the first couple of episodes, if you go back and listen to like the first one, it's just me.
Gotcha.
And then I realized very quickly, no matter how well you think you talk, it's very hard to carry a conversation on your own. So that's when I started bringing people on to interview. And as far as the subject matter, it's called All That Podcast because I talk about all that.
Yes.
Anything that I find interesting or I feel like it helps somebody, educate somebody, inspire somebody, I talk about it.
That's awesome. Now, you were named Medium.com's top 20 podcast.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Honestly, it made me feel, why wasn't I number one?
I love it.
Because I was number 10 on there, and all that was, yes, you can step back, appreciate, like, okay, the acknowledgement from them, but, I want that number one. So for me, it was like, okay, number 10 is kind of like, everybody saw The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, and, he said he took that personal, not that I took it personal, but it's definitely motivating, so I can look back at that eventually and say, okay, I went from 10 and now I'm number one.
Right, and you were 10 out of 20.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Out of all the podcasts that are out there. So 10 is a good number. I say 10 is a good number. Did it push you to say, you know what, let me switch up, the formula a little bit? Did you even switch up your formula? What made it?
As far as the content itself, no.
Okay.
Because I felt like the interview process that I was doing was it was good. It was working. The conversations were really good. I just did more this season, and you'll see, even if you look at, the way I announced the season.
Let me tell you something. It was amazing. I don't know if y'all seen it, but you actually kind of did a little play on Martin.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like what made you say, I want to do this? This is how I'm gonna release my new season.
Well, I'm always like a nerd when it comes to marketing and ideas, and I always have these ideas. And before, my problem had been not executing these ideas. So I was like, this season, I'm doing it. And so I was trying to get creative. Originally, I was going to do, because I looked at J. Cole's album cover, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do an album cover to release. I'm gonna like recreate that. But then I was looking at the Martin. I was like, you know, I like that better. You know what I mean? So I went with the, you know, the play on Martin, the recreation of Martin to release it. And like I said, you'll see a whole bunch of other things throughout the season that's very different.
Yeah, it seemed like with this season you took your time.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
My last, before the season, my last podcast was in August of 2020.
Okay.
So
yeah, so you kind of took a step back.
Yeah.
Reassessed everything.
Right.
How difficult was that? Because I know for me, when people watch my content or when they're talking about what I'm doing, they're like, okay, you got to put out this one. You got to keep on going.
Right.
And I actually took a 6-month break.
Yeah.
So how was that for you? What was that like?
Yeah, I'm a person that tends to work when I get inspired.
Yeah.
I hate trying to force things.
Yeah.
But from going forward, I will try to, you know, be more, not take that like a year in between seasons, but I wasn't really inspired, you know, as inspired that I had been. So I took that time off. And yeah, and I also learned something about recording for myself personally, because I used to do by week, like I record and release the same week. But this season I recorded every episode before I released one.
Gotcha.
You know, so to me that helped my production, and you know, it also allowed me time to focus on the marketing too. So because I was like, okay, I got all the episodes done, so now let me be creative in how to market it out. So yeah.
Yeah. So what do you say to people that are just like, oh, you know, I really need a team right now? Because even myself, I'm like, listen, I need a team. I need 5,000 people. But at the same time, do you feel like just put in the work yourself, start, and the people will come to you? But what do you feel?
I think a team is important, very important. You know, I have a great team. Shout out Sean, and shout out Ross, shout out Nikki. Those are probably the main three that help. But my thing is, you know, the hardest part of starting a business, starting a weight loss challenge, starting anything is to start. That's the hardest part, is the starting part. So I would say just start. You know, people, you know, I'm pretty sure you get this too. All the time when they want to start a podcast, they reach out and like, you know, want tips. And I'm like, hey, just start. I said, they're like, I need equipment. I was like, you really don't. I mean, you don't need equipment. I mean, you can get it, but you don't necessarily need it. Like, you know, I started literally in my bedroom. And my bedroom was how the podcast, like, if you go back, like I said, look at some of the older podcasts, they were literally in my bedroom. Wow. Bring a guest in my bedroom, and yeah, and it's just, even you can use your phone. There is this episode 3 of this season. So I went to the studio, and before I shot at the studio a lot, and they always had podcast equipment, but I guess because of COVID and all that, they took all that podcast equipment out. You had to bring your own in. And so I got there, and I'm like, whoa, like I wasn't prepared. So I just got Anchor. This is a plug for Anchor. Send you my sponsorship. But so Anchor is this app, you know, that you can use, and you literally can record off your phone and upload it right then and there if you want to. So I just took out my phone, pulled up the Anchor app, and hit record, and the audio was just as good as if I had, you know, professional mics. So yeah. Yeah,
people do reach out all the time, and they're like, what do I need? You know, how much money do I need to start? And I'm like, you don't need anything. I mean, if you want to put something forward whenever you first start, that's cool. But, you know, you don't need much to start, except for that confidence.
Right. People, you know, like to focus like, oh, I want this to look, you know, look this and look. Like, yes, you know, that's the goal, right? That's good. But you should be focusing on your content, because your content, if you have great content, people are going to tune in. You can literally be holding your phone like this, and if you're saying something that people want to hear, they're going to watch.
Regardless,
yes. Yeah, so.
And then I think a lot of people, they judge, like somebody might be judging their starting point for against what you're doing right now.
Exactly.
And they can't do that because you've been doing it. You know, you've learned, you've grown, and now you're at your level.
Out the bedroom.
So like I said, Hey, I know. Now listen, let's get to Oprah posting you. Tell us about that, because you have a book club as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm there's this book called that she wrote with this doctor named Dr. Bruce Perry, and it's called What Happened to You. So Great book, by the way. Yes, you get it. But I posted on my book club page and my personal page, this picture of me holding up the book because it's my book club choice. And obviously, as you can see, my career is kind of patterned after Oprah with the show and the book club.
Yeah, yeah.
But so.
Was that intentional?
I wouldn't say it was intentional. I just think it was something. I've been studying Oprah all my life, pretty much.
Gotcha.
I remember in 4th grade, I did a project on Oprah. And
wow.
Now be posted by her, but let's get to that. So, yeah, so I think unintentionally, my career is like, patterned after her. But so I'm at work. And I get this notification, and it says Oprah's book club, and I'm thinking they just commented on my post, which is a big deal in itself.
Yeah, it is.
I would have took that too, but then I clicked on it, and it's like, no, you've been tagged in an Oprah book club post.
Wow.
And I'm like, what?
Wow.
Like, I got posted on Oprah's page.
Right.
Like, what? So it was I was calling my mama, calling everybody, like Oprah posted.
Right, I made it, mama, I made it.
Yeah,
So what happened after that? Did they reach out to you?
No, they just posted me,
But it did a lot for your confidence, for your show.
For sure. I was like, all right, son, people, they're watching. They see.
And that's what matters. And that's what matters. What do you say to people that do not have 1 million followers, 1 million views, but they still want to get into the profession?
I'm glad you asked this question, because what I'm learning, and I don't know if you've seen this also, it is really not about the number of followers or likes, it's about engagement. That's what it's really about.
Yep.
So even if you have 800 followers on Instagram and 500 of them is really engaged in your stuff, that's all you need.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that just focus, my advice would be to just focus on the engagement, not necessarily the followers or the likes.
Yeah. Now, where are you from?
Where?
Where?
I am from Port Arthur, Texas,
Come
represented till I'm dead. Yes,
Nice.
I'm from Port Arthur, but I moved to Houston when I was 10 years old. So yeah.
So how are you liking Houston? Did you want to come to Houston, or were you like, oh, okay, whatever?
Well, technically I moved to Katy.
Okay.
But no, I did not want to move at first. You got to think, I've been there all my life. All my family's there, my grandparents.
Gotcha.
My cousins are there, my mom. Obviously, everybody, my brother, one of my brothers was there. So just like my whole life at that point, everybody that I loved, excluding a couple of people, were they. No, I'm saying some of them were in Houston. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But don't get me in trouble. Trying to get me in trouble. But no, so my whole life was in, Port Arthur.
Yeah.
And so when my dad, sat me down, he's like, hey, I've been talking to your mom, and she can't necessarily teach you how to be a man, so I want you to stay with me. And
gotcha.
I remember it was like, because all my cousins, we were at my dad's house for that summer out here. And so I told one of my cousins who I was really close with, and he just started crying. And I started crying. It was a big dramatic thing.
But you're here now, and you're a Cowboys fan, just like me. So
Them
go
boys.
you. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And we're going to the championship. We're going to the ship. So,
You know what I mean.
We say it every year, but I think we're going to do it.
This year, I think the team is a little different, though. I see something different with this team.
The vibe is different.
Yeah.
So I love it. So what's new, or what's next for you? What projects are coming up? Other than your podcast.
Right.
Or is that kind of like the focus?
That's the focus, but I have some other stuff going on.
Okay.
Also.
Because I feel like your podcast, listen, the release of it, I feel like it's just so complex. I feel like there's going to be a lot of twists and turns.
It is. It's definitely complex.
And I'm definitely, going to be tuning in and watching. Where can we follow, you and your podcast to get updates?
The podcast is on every place you can listen to a podcast. So it's Khyrie Presents the All That Podcast. So it's Khyrie Presents the All That Podcast. And as far as social media, the main place would probably be Instagram. So that's my whole name, Khyrie Neveaux. I'm pretty sure you put the tag somewhere.
Yes.
So yeah. But yeah, and as far as what's next, I think I'm going to do more YouTube videos, like just me speaking on commentary. I mean, me commenting on or adding commentary into different topics that's going on. Like for instance, right now you got the Khyrie vaccine thing going on. You got, all these different things going on. So, because I feel like I did things kind of backwards.
Oh, you
because
like
if you look at podcasters, they usually, build the audience first and get people. Kind of expecting to hear their voice or wanting to hear their voice on the topic, and then they start a podcast. Me, I started my podcast first, but yeah. So,
but there's no set formula.
No, it's not. It's not. I'm just, throwing stuff at the wall, see what sticks.
Exactly. And you're so genuine about everything that you do. Like, I feel like everything that you say, I don't feel like you're lying about anything. So
yeah, I try to be pretty transparent.
Yeah. Is it tough? Because, listen, there's people that are in the podcast world that are lying through their teeth and people are buying into it. So how difficult is it for you to stay on kind of like that straight and narrow?
For me, my show challenges me because I talk about so many topics with substance that, for instance, on this season, I'm doing a man series. And the 3 topics is relationships, fatherhood, and mental health. And so with me, bringing these discussions to the forefront is challenging me because I'm in a position to where I have to hold myself accountable. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I don't want to compare myself to being a preacher, but it's kind of like a preacher is preaching this stuff. He has to hold himself to a certain standard for his congregation to trust him. You know what I mean? So now with my show, it's like, I'm saying this stuff and I'm, and all this, and it kind of challenges me to hold myself accountable. So,
Have you ever done any like public speaking or like motivational speaking, especially to boys? Like, I could see that.
Now that is also in the works.
Okay.
This whole, I'm gonna just break the news here. So I'm coming out with this.
Thank you. I knew it was something in my spirit said he holding on to something.
So
okay, thank you.
I'm starting this charity called All That Good Charity.
Oh my God.
And we're doing a whole bunch of things, and the first thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say the first thing. I'm gonna say you don't say that, but just know that work with boys, black boys in particular, will be a major part of this in trying to start mentor groups and things like that to get back to the community.
Yes. One thing that I really like about you, you're a manly man, and people need to see that. There's nothing wrong with anything else that is going on in the world, but boys need that. They need to see that, and so I just I appreciate that from you. Listen, what do you think about Khyrie? Because I know you were talking about.
I know.
What do you think about yourself?
I'm great.
The basketball player who's going through just this, I think, a tough time right now. What do you think about it?
I think that you do have a choice on what you decide to put in your body. And it's not, a lot of people are looking at the Brooklyn Nets or the NBA and saying, kind of getting on them, but it's really not them. It's like the state of New York is the one that set this mandate. Like if he was playing in Boston or, LA, that wouldn't be, he could still play.
Right.
So it's not so much the team, it's like the state thing.
Gotcha.
And I feel like, look, Khyrie has done some great things, donating to George Floyd. I think he built schools. I don't know if he built a school, but he's done a lot of good work in the community. But I feel like that, being a contrarian does not always equate to intellectualism.
Yeah, right.
Like just because you're going against what is quote unquote popular doesn't mean that what you're doing is based
correct.
In truth or facts. So I feel like with him, he does a lot of that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think that, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And my broken heart, my sadness goes out or is happening because I feel like he's getting almost banned, or he's getting not banned, but canceled.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we have this cancel culture now that's everybody's super sensitive.
Yeah.
But I just feel like he's getting canceled for saying, I don't want to get this vaccine.
Right.
And I don't think that's right.
Yeah, that is his right.
You know,
he wants to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's his body, but that's here nor there. But anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on my show. Again, tell us where we can follow you, how we can support.
Instagram, Khyrie Neveaux, that's KhyRieNeveaux. Also, you have Kyrie's Book Club, and you have the All That Podcast Instagram, and Twitter by that name, the All That Podcast. And and the podcast is everywhere: Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, YouTube. Everywhere. The YouTube channel is Khyrie TV. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm so happy. I just feel like I want to clap, so I'm gonna clap.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for coming on my show.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you all for watching another episode of The Courtney Hall Show.